Yes, let's go through some LinkedIn top tips. So we've got 5 of them. Do you want to walk us through top tip number 1? Make sure your profile is up to date.
100%. So, hey, if you're going to go out and get a professional picture, use it for LinkedIn. If your company is doing professional photos at work, add that photo to your LinkedIn. I would say that is the best way to do it because you can tell when someone's taken a photo on their phone. And it's a professional site. As we said, it's not Instagram. So make sure you're in a proper shirt and smiling.
And your profile, you've got your bio, you've got your, the different categories of what you post, your job history, your affiliations, all of these different bits and pieces. That should all be up to date as well, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. As you said, 2 seconds to figure out a person. People can read pretty quickly these days, so get it up there and put it in short form. Make it quick, make it easy to read. That's
Absolutely. And it's the scroll. So, people will look you up, they'll be like, all right, cool, that's the headline, that's the person, I understand, this is where they work, great. And people will scroll through these key bits and pieces, and LinkedIn is structured in an interesting way where you have it categorized in a certain way. You go on a Instagram profile and you just see the pictures and you have to click in. LinkedIn, it's far more text heavy and far more information based because it wants to give you, here's the bio, here's the features, here's the job history, here's what they're interested in, here are their affiliates and certificates. So yeah, it is structured in a good way and definitely having it up to date. Our top tip number 2 is to pick a topic you care about. So I find this one really interesting because I spend a lot of time helping people figure out their topic, or helping people go, or helping myself go, okay, what should I post about? What is the topic that I care about today? This is a really important one because, like we've been talking about at the very start, when you have a topic that's in alignment with your profile, LinkedIn will actually react differently as a platform to what you put out there. So if your profile is very heavily to do with pottery, and then you all of a sudden start talking about AI, it's like, hold on, these two things don't add up, they don't align. So it's really interesting to not only pick a topic, but also make sure your profile reflects that topic, and having that gradual transition to different subject matters that you care about, because everyone evolves and changes. I think that's really important, really interesting, because this is your messaging that you're putting out there. It all centers around a certain silo of concepts, and picking your topic is very, very important, and it should be something you can talk about all the time because you care about it. So any other tips on this at this point?
Just one, it actually helps with the algorithm on LinkedIn. So if you continuously post about the same topic, it's sort of like a Google SEO. So it'll pick that up and put you in the right spot to go to, pretty much. That's a really cool thing about LinkedIn, because it is another SEO that will help get you in front of the right audience.
Absolutely. And that's the other part, which I don't know the other platforms do this, or I don't go to the other platforms because they do this, and that is, on LinkedIn, if I need to know about a certain topic or a certain idea or a certain group of people, well, LinkedIn actively tries to help you find those people. And if you're posting, it'll expose your content to people similar to what you've posted about or what your profile says, and goes, hey, you're talking about content marketing. These people will talk about content marketing. We'll show your content to them, and also their content will be shown to you. And guess what? Everyone learns and grows as a result. So yeah, your topic is very, very important.
Next tip.
Yes. Be personal, share things about your life.
Yeah, so this one's an interesting one, to borderline how personal to what should I share on LinkedIn. So I'll give you a few tips of what I've shared. I have shared about living in 5 different countries. I have shared my experience about moving from Melbourne to Sydney. I have shared experiences about my holiday, but not in a, hey, I've done all these things, how cool is this? I go, cool, this is my holiday, and I'll reflect about my work as well. Say, I've missed talking to people doing this, but hey, it's awesome to have a break and regroup, which everyone loves. For some reason, the personal posts have done much better than my top tricks and tricks.
So it's interesting. I've heard this. I've heard similar feedback from lots of people, which is, the personal content's working way better And I find it interesting because I don't post any personal content. The most personal thing is when I post a video of me explaining like the kit or something, and it's it's a very DIY, no editing job because I don't want to do that stuff at this point. But it's interesting, like the videos and when it's me on camera, it still does perform better than a blog post that I spend 2 weeks writing. It's really interesting how, as much as text is still king on LinkedIn, when you post more personal stuff and people can see that it's actually you, yeah, it's really interesting how it responds. What has the feedback been when you post something personal? Do people like send you DMs and be like, "Oh, this is really cool. I completely agree," or
It's more the comments. So that's sharing with their network. And because I'm being me, if people want to work with me, they will know some more things about me.
yeah,
People work with people. So if they like what they see on LinkedIn, they go, cool, I can talk to this person because I know a bit about themselves. Oh, they've lived in Thailand. I'll talk to them about that country. Something that connects you is always going to be much better than someone you don't know anything about.
Absolutely. And that leads us into, tip number 4, which is to build relationships instead of selling. Because when you're posting something personal and you're showing a bit more about your life rather than just what your profile says, and elaborating on the story effectively that you've put out there, you're in a position to build relationships. But people, we've talked about this before we jumped on, they seem to go into selling a bit too quickly.
Yeah, and that'll damage your reputation on LinkedIn because, as you said, people start unfollowing you going, oh, I don't want to deal with this. They're just going to keep bombarding me with messages. And most of the time, you don't want to deal with that. You're like, if I want to talk to you, I will. If that interests me in the future, I will reach out. Don't keep
Definitely.
annoying someone because it won't get you anywhere.
No, it's like talking to an annoying person at a party. You kind of just end up running away.
Exactly. So you don't want to do that on LinkedIn because it's not going to work at all.
No. Our fifth and final LinkedIn top tip is remember you're building your personal brand and know your company's brand. Now, I thought this was really interesting, and I'm very curious for you to explain it because I understand now after you explained it to me, but I think it's a really valid point. Can you elaborate?
Of course. So you on LinkedIn are yourself. You have a personal page for you. You might say what company you work for or what company you own, but you're not promoting that all the time. You need to mix that in with your personal and your company's messages. So I don't
Yes.
post much about spicy pineapple. I don't put my logo up on posts a lot of the time. It is more just basic things that don't promote my company. It is me and my personal brand, but intertwined with the company because I work at my company.
Yeah, I think the way you described it was you are you and you're helping your company in the following way, and that's how you should position yourself. It's not, hey, I'm reposting everything my company does because someone's holding a gun to my head and I have to. It's, we're working on this project and this is my view of it, this is my opinion of it, and this is how how I contributed to it. And it's a very different way of saying the same thing effectively, which is, hey, look at how great a company is, but in a very, very different way. So I thought this was a really, really valuable point because I see a lot of people, they do make this mistake, like, oh, great, repost, you just instant, and people just flick through it instantly because it's almost like an ad. So no, very, very, very good point. So we're coming to the end of our brief little session. And what we want to do is actually go through some questions. But while we've got some questions prepared, but if you've got any questions or you're watching this later on, you've got some questions, you can send them to us directly. These are our LinkedIn profiles. These are our Instagram profiles. So if you're watching this video later, if you're watching it now, you can log into any of those, find us, send us a question. We'll look it up and do our best to respond on the spot. But while we wait for those to come in, this will go out later, so this might be working for us 24/7 for 5 years. We have some questions, so let's go through some lightning round questions. What are the most common mistakes people make on LinkedIn? This is a big question.
There's a lot, as you said, unprofessional photo is not going to do your page any justice. And selling, I want to say those two are the biggest ones that I'm like, no, If you don't
Yeah.
look professional, I'm not really going to connect with you.
Yeah.
If there's a picture of you on a beach in a bikini, no, it's not going to work on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I
And it's
don't know
amazing
what you're
how,
selling,
yeah.
but it's not professional enough.
Yeah. It's amazing how little of a margin there is to that as well. It's very much show up professionally or don't show up at all. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah. What else have we got?
What new things have you been trying on LinkedIn?
So I schedule a lot of posts and they're all random. They're all different. There's polls, there's pictures, there's videos, there's about me, there's tips and tricks. So
Mhm.
I've been trying out all of them to see what works the best.
So
And
what's been the result?
the weird one is it's the personal ones.
So how personal are we talking? Like, is it this is I had breakfast and it inspired me to think about how business is a meal and I have to eat all the pieces of it or something? How personal are we talking? Is it I had a great breakfast, is at this cafe, go have a look, like an Instagram style, or is it you know, something?
I think my last one that did exceptionally well was a picture in Japan.
Mhm.
Just saying about my latest trip to Japan and how much I loved the country, the culture, the food, and that did well. For some reason, me just sharing where I've been, everyone else is like, oh my God, I can relate. I've been there. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's really interesting. How do you think it's going to impact like your future posts? Are you just going to pepper in like way more personal content? Because I think it isn't, it's still a professional platform, and
Mix it.
you know, you don't want to mix it too much. But definitely there is some ingredients in there that can be shifted around. So is the plan to just keep? I'm assuming this is part of an experimentation where it's okay. I'll post polls and pictures and blog posts and we'll see what the result is. I completely agree with this, by the way. I try all sorts of different stuff as well. I post videos, I post blogs, I post like an actual post and nothing else. The personal stuff I haven't gotten into yet. I should try it. I've maybe post a picture of my dog or something.
Do it.
Um,
Do it. The dog photos work the best. I don't know why. You and your dog?
well,
Yeah.
most of the time I'm in this little office by myself, and my coworker is my dog. So she's employee number one sort of thing.
There you go. That's
Everyone
it
else is
works.
remote or you have to show up in person. So she's the only one that consistently shows up to work sort of thing with me. So she's my coworker. I should just post a picture of her, and she's a bit of a poser, so it might go well.
Exactly. That's your job for next week. And I want to see that and I'll reshare that. Let's see how
I'd
many
say,
likes we can get on
yeah.
that one.
I mean, the point of it isn't to sort of get lots of reach and impressions for the sake of reach and impressions. The value of it is that if people see that your post is engaged with, and that's the whole point of this little webinar. People respond to it differently. They can relate to you and they get to know you. And when you're, the natural and beneficial byproduct of that is when it gets exposed to more people, you don't have to go and message 2,000 people manually. The algorithm helps you because you've given people something they want to see. And then you've got all the business elements attached to it. And I think that's where LinkedIn is quite honest in the sense that everyone knows that they're there for a business purpose at the end of the day. Here is a profile, here's what I'm selling, here's how I can help you, and here's what the next steps are. Like,
Yeah.
that's built into it. And I find it really interesting that this personal layer is coming into it, which is yeah, absolutely, everyone knows that's why we're here. It's called LinkedIn, that's the platform, but this is making it even more humane. And I think it's really interesting now that there's AI generated content. My hunch, my 2 cents is that video content, live streams, where it's actually you, not super edited, but not very, very, very casual, that I think will be, a differentiator, because that's harder at this point in time for a machine to basically to make the same mistakes, because
Yeah.
human beings make mistakes. So if you post that, it's a little bit raw with all the stumbles and stutters. Okay, that's very different because, hey,
People get it. Exactly. That, oh, yeah, I've done that.
exactly. So I think it's really interesting, and I do find it nice or positive that the platform is growing in general. So